Last year, DPRK leader Kim Jong-un pledged to suspend testing nuclear bombs and long-range ballistic missiles. On Saturday, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that multiple missiles had been launched from the DPRK port town of Wonsan, each flying 70 to 100 kilometers into the East Sea. Analysts suspect they were short-range missiles, so not technically in breach of Kim Jong-un's pledge, but definitely intended to test Washington's negotiating position after President Donald Trump walked away from what he described as a bad deal at his Hanoi summit with Kim Jong-un in February. Last month, Pyongyang also tested what it described as a new tactical guided weapon that experts say was likely an anti-tank device. That test and the latest play into what many analysts say is Pyongyang's growing impatience with Washington over its insistence that sanctions will not be lifted or even eased until real denuclearization begins. Kim Jong-un has made the economy a core part of his domestic policy, and there are signs his country is urgently in need of financial aid. The test came just one day after a report released by the United Nations warning the DPRK had cut food rations to their lowest level ever for this time of year and may be forced to cut them even further without international aid. The UN estimates about 40% of the population is suffering from severe food shortages, following what its key food agencies describe as the worst harvest in a decade. US Special Representative for the DPRK, Stephen Biegun, will travel to South Korea and Japan next week for talks aimed at trying to find a way forward for the currently stalled nuclear diplomacy. Jack Barton, CGTN, Seoul.